All right, lads, gather round. We've got a story to tell. Let's talk about Jeremy Corbyn, the man who became a household name in British politics. He shook up the political landscape like a rogue teabag in a cup of Earl Grey. This ain't your nan's politician, no sir. This is JC, the allotment enthusiast, the Arsenal fanatic, the vegan peace activist who accidentally became the leader of the Labour Party. You couldn't make it up. Corbyn was like that mate who's always got strong opinions about everything, but he's so deadpan about it, you're never sure if he's joking. He'd be the one at the pub ranting about social justice, and you'd be like, go on, Jez, tell us what you really think. Little did we know he'd end up leading the bloody opposition. But here's the thing about Corbyn. He meant it, mate. All of it. This wasn't some calculated political act. This was a bloke who'd been fighting for the little guy since he was knee-high to a picket line. He believed in a fairer, kinder world, and he wasn't afraid to shout about it, even if it meant going against the grain, even if it meant facing down the entire political establishment. Now, whether you agree with his politics or not, you've got to admire the man's conviction. He was a walking, talking testament to the power of sticking to your guns, even when the whole world's telling you to put them down. He was an inspiration to anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, anyone who's ever dared to dream of a better world. From his early days as a young activist to his time in Parliament, Corbyn's journey was anything but conventional. He was a man of principles, a man who stood by his beliefs no matter the cost, and let's not forget his sense of humour. Despite the serious issues he tackled, Corbyn always had a twinkle in his eye and a joke up his sleeve. He was a man who could laugh at himself, and that made him all the more relatable. Even when facing fierce opposition, he never lost his cool. He was calm, collected, and always ready with a witty retort. Whether you saw him as a hero or a villain, there's no denying that Jeremy Corbyn left an indelible mark on British politics. He was a man who dared to dream, dared to challenge the status quo, and dared to be different. And in doing so, he inspired countless others to do the same. So here's to Jeremy Corbyn, the man, the myth, the legend, an absolute boy through and through. Whether you loved him or loathed him, you can't deny that he made politics a whole lot more interesting. And for that, we tip our hats to you, Jez. Cheers, mate. Now, our Jez wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, oh no. He came from a place where every penny counted, where the value of hard work was instilled from a young age. He grew up in a modest household where the walls might have been thin, but the values were strong. He went to a grammar school, a place where he first encountered the stark contrast between the haves and the have-nots, and even did a stint as a trade union official, fighting for the rights of workers who were often overlooked and undervalued. This wasn't some posh bloke who'd read about poverty in a textbook. This was a lad who'd seen firsthand the struggles of working people, who knew what it meant to live paycheck to paycheck. He grew up in a working-class neighbourhood surrounded by families who worked tirelessly to make ends meet. And it lit a fire in him, mate, a proper bonfire of social justice. He wasn't just angry, he was determined to make a difference. He joined the Labour Party young, eager to be part of a movement that promised change. He cut his teeth on campaigns against apartheid and nuclear weapons, causes that demanded courage and conviction, and was always up for a good protest, never shying away from standing up for what he believed in. This was the 70s and 80s, mind you, a time when activism meant more than just retweeting a hashtag. We're talking marches, rallies, sit-ins, the whole shebang. It was a time of real, tangible action. Corbyn was a right pain in the backside for the establishment, always poking his nose into things, questioning authority, and demanding better for the working class. He was relentless, always questioning, always pushing, never settling for the status quo. Demanding better for the working class, he was their voice, their champion. He was like a dog with a bone when it came to social justice, wouldn't let it go for love nor money. His passion was palpable, his commitment unwavering. But that's what made him so bloody authentic, innit? He wasn't just talking the talk, he was walking the walk. He was out there in the trenches with the people, understanding their struggles, sharing their hopes. He wasn't some career politician spouting empty platitudes. This was a bloke who lived and breathed his values, who fought for what he believed in. This was a man who was as comfortable in a community meeting as he was in Parliament, always staying true to his roots. He was the real deal, a genuine article, a proper bona fide political firebrand. His journey was just beginning, and the world was about to see what he was truly capable of. He was just getting started. The fire in his belly was only growing stronger, and his resolve was unbreakable. From humble beginnings to a political firebrand, Jeremy Corbyn's story is one of passion, dedication, and an unyielding commitment to social justice. Hold on to your hats, folks, because our Jez was about to swap the protest line for the front benches of power. It was a journey that would see him transform from a local activist to a national figure, shaking up the political landscape in ways few could have predicted. It all started in good old North London, where he became a councillor, fighting for local issues like housing and education. He was relentless, always pushing for better living conditions and more opportunities for the people in his community. He was like a dog with a bone, this lad, always championing the underdog, always fighting for what he believed in. Whether it was standing up for the homeless or advocating for better schools, Jeremy was there, sleeves rolled up, ready to battle. Then, in 1983, bam! He got elected as the MP for Islington North, a seat he'd held for nearly 40 years, the cheeky git. It was a monumental achievement, marking the beginning of a long and storied career in Parliament. Talk about sticking power. Now, Parliament wasn't exactly ready for a radical lefty like Corbyn. His presence was a breath of fresh air or a gust of wind, depending on who you asked. Imagine a vegan turning up at a sausage fest. That's what it was like. He was different, and he made sure everyone knew it. His principles were unshakable, and he wasn't afraid to stand out. He was a right thorn in the side of both Labour and Conservative governments, constantly challenging the status quo, voting against the grain, and generally causing a right ruckus. His speeches were fiery, his debates intense, and his commitment to his beliefs unwavering. He was like that mate who always orders the weirdest thing on the menu, just to see if they actually have it. His choices were unconventional, but they were always rooted in a deep sense of justice and fairness. But here's the thing, people loved him for it. His authenticity and dedication won him a loyal following, both in his constituency and beyond. In his constituency, he was a legend, a local hero who always had time for his constituents, no matter how big or small their problems. He was approachable, down to earth, and genuinely cared about making a difference in people's lives. He wasn't interested in climbing the greasy pole of power. He just wanted to make life better for ordinary people. What a bloke. His legacy is one of tireless advocacy and unwavering commitment to social justice, a true testament to his character and values.